So we're going to be starting with our opponent in side-to-side control. Well, our immediate goal is to get to a turn control position where I can control him from that position, he can't escape, and I can initiate attacks. For that to happen, one of the more preferred positions of control I'm looking for is a modified 100 kilos. In a standard 100 kilos, his arm will be on the outside of my body as I get this cross face, and my outside hand would be blocking his hip. My feet would be kicked out so I can put the majority of my weight into him, right? It pins him to the ground, it keeps him from going out, it keeps him from recomposing guard. That's a beautiful objective if I want to keep him where he's at. However, what I want to do is make sure we get to the turtle position. So what I'm looking to do is to have my knee on the outside of his arm, preferably my knee attached to his shoulder. I'm gonna have my far leg kicked out so that it allows me to run with him because I know he's gonna move. If my knees are on the ground, it makes you slower. My outside hand's still gonna be blocking this hip to keep it from recomposing, and my head is still gonna be providing a crossface. A key detail of that crossface is a crossface is not just your arm on the other side of his head. If Dave looks towards me, then Dave can move towards the direction that he can turn his face. That's going to be an issue for me. A crossface should be a block of his ability to actually turn his head. It doesn't have to be a whole lot of the shoulder pressure, but it does have to serve the purpose of blocking him. So there must be a connection. So now when Dave tries to look towards me, he can't turn his chin. Good. Now, when we see that whole position from that 100 kilos, to free him up, it's going to look like this. Right? Dave tries to look towards me. He can't really. My hands are out, but he has the ability to kind of separate, push away from me, and roll into the turtle. It's going to look like this. As he goes up, we're going to keep a connection between his far side hip and his near side shoulder as he comes up. Now, reasons for that is I'll always have the ability to make sure he can't keep going as far and that his hand can't repost against me when he rolls back up. So as his hand starts to come backwards and maybe grab me, right hand, I can still kind of press and push him and manipulate his body. It's not just a free roll where I'm running after the guy and he recomposes on me. Now, as you're doing it, what I'm going to try to get to is a turtle control position. There's 3 points of control that we're looking for, but we want to get it in transition. That first one's going to be entry from my knee. So as I get into that modified 100 kilos, he rolls up, I'm gripped towards him, and my knee comes up to the pocket of his hip. Now, what he's going to be trying to do is close this space off, if fundamentally correct, right? I like to say that there's a direct correlation between the elbow and knee connection and the amount of submissions that you're subject to, right? It's a key defensive principle. It's one that he's going to be looking for. However, because I want to get what I'm looking for, I'm going to have to separate this. So when I'm here, I'm going to ride my knee all the way through this gap and place not just my knee on the inside, but a good portion of my shin that separates his connection between his elbow and his knee. It's going to look like this. So you can see this huge block right here. The issue is for him to reconnect, he'd have to move his arm all the way around to get there, and I'm going to be doing a whole lot to prevent that. This is one of the key positions of this. Now these other 2 points are to keep him from rolling out, escaping, and gaining momentum. I'm going to use them both by taking my outside hand. I go over and I'm using a 5-finger grip, kind of like a monkey paw. Use that monkey paw and I'm flaring my elbow out, but more importantly, I'm turning his hand in. If we looked at his hand on a clock, this is 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, or 9 o'clock. I want to rotate him down somewhere between a 6 and 9 o'clock position. So I want to bend it in. Now, that has to go hand in hand with his head touching the ground. I do that by pressing my shoulder into the back of his shoulder and making his forehead touch the ground. I'm keeping my hand free from base that keeps me from being off balance when we roll out. Okay, so let's see all that put together. As he rolls up, I'm going to maintain connection with that outside hip, that inside shoulder. As he comes up, I'm going to slide my knee in between that gap between his elbow and his knee. I'm going to take my outside hand, making sure that his arm is turned inside and forcing his head down to the ground. Right? We're looking for head and arm connection break, outside arm control, head control. It's going to look like this.